How do people get stuck in the US and how can we avoid it? I'm Mr. Shadow, and this is an important topic, so I wanted to cover it. Most Americans who want to leave the US never actually do. Not because they can't, not because it's illegal, not because they don't have enough money. They don't because they wait long enough to make it harder every single year. It's a cycle. They wait because their kids are getting older. They wait because their house hasn't sold yet. Or maybe it's because the job just doesn't feel safe enough yet. Maybe next year is just that year. All these are ways of signaling to your own brain that now is not the time. I'll be more secure in the future. And that's just not always true. One day you wake up and you realize that you're choosing to stay home or that you're not actually choosing to stay home. You're stuck. This video is not going to be about politics. It's not going to be about fear. And it's not going to be about telling you to leave tomorrow. It's going to be about how you can set yourself in an accidental trap and be stuck in the US when your intent is to lead a better life in another country. Now, what does getting stuck actually mean? When someone says getting stuck, does that mean that you're banned from leaving the US? No. Is that a possibility? Has that happened in other countries? Perhaps, but we're not there. So let's not address the what ifs. Let's address real things happening now. What I mean is far more subtle. Your options slowly disappear because again, every year your expenses they go up. Things are not getting cheaper in the US, they are getting more expensive. Your commitments, they go up. You join a band, your kids move on to the next grade. They just want to finish high school or they just want to finish middle school. You get entrenched in your surroundings. You like your neighbors. You just started meeting new friends. Your job is just so fulfilling right now. There are some other more real reasons also, like your paperwork becomes outdated. All that work towards getting documents apostilled just for them to fall out of date? Or is it just that more people are relying on you and depend on you as time goes on? Leaving isn't actually hard, but leaving later is. And most people, they don't notice until the friction is there. Trap number one, financial anchors. The first way people get stuck is financial. It's not just about being broke, although I'm sure that's what comes to mind first. It's also about being anchored, having a mortgage that you can't easily sell. Now, this is something that I went through recently. I've been telling folks for the last year, sell your house, cut ties with the US. It's much easier. You have all that liquidity now that you can either invest or use as a safety net, put into an account that is growing at a more steady rate, something like a high yield savings or some combination of the two. But the reality is that in today's housing market, it's not a selling environment. And because of that, you can end up in this long lead time of having your house up for sale. I know I did. 8 months or so we waited, had two failed sale attempts fall through. And during that whole time, we were kind of in flux. We didn't know where to turn. We had cleared our house out, but many of the paperwork steps we couldn't start because we didn't want those to run out of date. And so we were kind of at a stopping point. Now, we ended up renting out our house and we now have that in motion and can take the next steps here. But to me, just a very personal example of how something like a mortgage can keep you stuck. Maybe it's not the mortgage itself. Maybe it's a house that you renovated, but you have no way of liquidating. Maybe you have all this equity inside the home, you're retiring, and you can't figure out a way to get it out. Maybe your car payments have stacked up and you have this lifestyle of too high of expenses. Maybe it's not expenses at all that's holding you back. Maybe it's the income. Maybe you've been promoted and you're now making more money than you ever have in a job that you always dreamed of. And so you just can't bring yourself to let it go. Here's the key idea: owning assets doesn't trap you, owning liquid assets does. Things like a paid off rental property, that's flexible. But a primary residence that you have emotional attachments to and you just can't get the timing right of a sale doesn't work well, does it? A lot of people, unfortunately, confuse doing well with freedom. You can be doing well financially here in the States, but be bogged down by the stress, the time, and not actually living life in the way that you're intended. Trap number two is waiting for the perfect time. This one gets almost everyone. I ran through the reasons already, right? The kids, the promotion. But the truth is, there is no year where living stops. You want this perfect little window, but I'm here to tell you it never comes. Your kids get more rooted, not less. Your parents get older and require more help, assistance, and time. Your job responsibilities always increase. The fear of disrupting this life that you've molded and placed together grows. It doesn't ease. So waiting doesn't create this clarity. It actually creates more of a physical weight holding you down. Both me and my wife have a single living grandparent remaining. And it does hurt to walk away, especially when our parents themselves are aging. Something we've done to make that feel better was invite our grandparents on some of our visit trips to places like Costa Rica. My grandmother, 85 years old, came and spent a week with us, which were moments that I'll cherish forever. My parents as well, inviting her parents on visit trips to Panama. By doing this, you're creating that lifestyle that you have here in the States outside of the US, giving yourselves a reason to go live elsewhere, creating that bond and those relationships. De-rooting is what I call it. Trap number three, that's going to be the legal aspect and the paperwork. This one's the most overlooked trap, believe it or not. Most people don't realize what documents they need until they need them. I have a passport. You look at it and it expires in a year. Background checks, guess what? They take time. Apostles take longer than you would expect. And the residency applications, they don't run on your time. So you need your own and foreign governments to cooperate. By the time people say, okay, I'm going to take this serious now, they're already 6 to 12 months behind. And that delay alone can completely halt moves. Now, I have solutions for this. I have free guides and pay guides, both in my Discord or on my website. They can be accessed at brightshadow2k.com. Paste this in your internet browser. You can download the free guide right there on the website. The more in-depth paid guides are either in my ebook, which is free if you're a Discord member, memberships for as low as $7 a month, or as a Discord member, there are more specific guides that are easy to pull up within that. I encourage you to grab these because they help by having all the steps listed out on paper, something that you can easily turn to, follow, check off. It helps make sure that your mind is following a very clear path and that you know what needs to be done day by day, week by week. Trap number four, that's the income that doesn't travel. This one's big, and I want to be very clear how I say this. It's not about quitting your job. It's about knowing exactly what income travels with you. Some jobs are remote until you leave the country because some employers are fine with it while some are not. Some employers may say they're fine with it until compliance steps in. Some benefits can disappear the minute you're no longer domestic. And too often people get stuck not because they hate their job, but because they don't know what will happen if they move on. This uncertainty creates paralysis, stuck like you can't wake up from a dream where someone is chasing you with an axe. If you're remote and willing to take the risk, there are ways that you can ghost your location from your employer. Again, I have guides for this in my Discord. If you're not remote or you don't want to take that risk, then you have other options. Think about getting a TEFL certification. This allows you to teach English abroad, and in some cases, teach English online. As the layoffs in the US continue to pile up and the investment of companies into AI continue to increase, the likelihood that all of our jobs are going to be around in the future is growing slimmer by the day. That's why I keep telling people, what would you do if you lost your job? Start planning to lose your job. This helps specifically when you're in this situation where leaving the country becomes a reality. You start asking yourself, where could other income come from? Can I sell digital products? Does my particular profession allow me to consult? Or can I go through some type of recruiter so that I can land a job in another country that is willing to help me go through and sponsor me for this work visa process? Or are you in a position where you can invest long term and live off interest? I know not many of us cover that, but can you learn to trade to earn an income? A lot of these are both hard and soft skills that do take time to sort of learn. My point is that if you're planning to move out of the country, these are things you should be thinking about and acting on, trying to cover your basis in more than one way so that you're solving your income problem in a variety of ways, giving you the most flexibility humanly possible. Trap number 5 is emotional and family gravity. This part definitely deserves some respect. As I mentioned before, aging parents, kids, friends, or community, the longer you stay, the more people depend on you. And then suddenly, when you decide to leave, it doesn't feel like a personal decision. Unfortunately, others sometimes guilt tripping you, claims of abandonment. This is when a lot of people say, well, I could leave, but not now. This is where I always use the burning building example. If you and all your friends or family are inside a building in the living room where you're having a meal, you smell and see smoke, but everyone else carries on as if nothing has changed, as if they don't smell or see anything. Are you too going to sit in that room and do nothing? Or would you open that door and show them that there is a way out before the flames engulf the building, engulf the walls, and it's too late to leave? In 2026, the US cost of living is at all-time highs. Healthcare also more expensive than ever. We talked about the fears of job loss and the growth of AI. None of this is political. The US economy is in a state of flux. So don't stay inside the burning building. Walk out, show others a way out, and you're still an American citizen. You could always come back if things turn around. Now, look, if you want to avoid getting stuck, the good news is that you don't need an exit plan, but you do need options. That means keeping your documents current, designing an income that can move with you, avoiding irreversible commitments unless you choose them. Take test trips instead of making permanent decisions, because we need to think in terms of flexibility, not an escape. You don't have to leave tomorrow to prepare. You just don't want to wait until preparation becomes impossible. Now, the next question I always get is, okay, well then how much money do I actually need to leave? That answer depends on if you're a solo traveler or with a family, where are you going, and how do you earn your income? Now, on my website, I do include some cost of living guidelines for a few countries, as well as some things to think about in terms of your financial planning. Again, this is completely free and on my website, brightshadow2k.com. And I'll break this down in my next video. So please, again, follow the channel, because if this resonated with you at all, my name is Mr. Shadow and I make content around moving outside of the USA. I did write a 89-page ebook on how to leave the USA, which again can be found on my website. And as always, I hope it helps.